Well, hello and welcome to Unleashed Dogs Without Limits. I'm Carl Metzler. We got another great show lined up for you. This week we catch up with Eric Byrd from Kinetic Performance Dog Food to hunt wild quail on public land in Florida. Eric has an interesting technique that helps him be successful in the quail woods year after year, and he'll share it with you right here on Unleashed.
There are over 86 million dogs in the United States, but only a select few are considered elite working or sporting dogs. From police and military canines to hunting and sporting dogs and everything in between, meet the dogs your dog aspires to be. Get ready to see man's best friend in a whole new light. This is Unleashed.
I'm Eric Byrd. I'm the National Channel Manager for Kinetic Performance Dog Food. I've been a wild bird hunter, all my life, quail hunter. I'm training and raising dogs for probably half of that. Since I've been 12 years old, I've been hunting quail here in Florida. I think it's a lost art that we do. A lot of people tell me all the time there's not any more wild quail anywhere, and we've made a lifelong hobby and passion and pursuit after these quail. So it's been, something that was instilled in me as a kid, and I came back to it as an adult, and the love for the dogs has never gone away. So my dad was from Mississippi, and I think he had a love for hunting, but he had the opportunity to hunt some quail in Mississippi as a young man growing up. And then when he got to Florida, I think he just wanted to get into the quail hunting, and just went and listened in fields and listened for birds to whistle, and then would just go walk them up, didn't even have a dog. That was kind of the process that started with me. Was when my dad got his first dog, it really changed his ability to hunt quail. That's such a big part of it. I don't know how much success that he found hunting them by foot, just walking. The quail population definitely has decreased over the years, probably since he was a kid, and you probably just walk and find a bunch of quail, but it's not that way anymore. So the ability to have a dog to find birds and is probably changed that for him. But as I was growing up, my dad that was his hobby. That was his only hobby, was quail hunting. And just was, hey, you're gonna be around your dad, you better go get in the truck with him. So it really was a lifestyle around quail hunting, and then just that love for it just kind of trickled down. I didn't realize how much I liked it until I started getting my own dogs. My dad once told me, he said, you become a quail hunter and then you're a shooter. It's about how many birds you kill or shoot. He said, when you get your own dog and you start watching your dog work in the woods, he said, then you become a real quail hunter, because then it's about what you've instilled in those dogs and how you've trained them, and what they're giving to you on the ground becomes more of the hunt than how many birds you kill every day. And it's really that passion for the dogs, I think, really drives the love of quail hunting for us. The bird is very important. Without that bird, there's other things. I could chase turkeys, or I could do duck hunting. And I think a lot of lab guys would say the same thing. Ducks brings them to the center point of the dog, but the dog really makes it. You see a guy shoot a duck, and he's excited when his dog gets to go out there, especially if you got more than one duck hunter or more than one dog. How did my dog do in the field compared to someone else's dog? And it really becomes about the dog first, I think. So without the quail, I think what I'm doing is pointless, but it really does turn into more of that passion of the dog, and the training and the feeding them and loving them and just being around them. They're not, how it is, dogs are part of your family. Mine stay in the kennel, but we're with them every single day. We get to spend time with them every day. And, you get to really understand the personalities of the dogs and everything. So it becomes the dogs But without the bird, without quail, what is their purpose? This gives my dogs a purpose, and it gives me a purpose in my hobby to train those dogs to be the best they can be.
For your active dog, not just any dog food will do. It takes special care and nutrition to support their energy to work and play. That's why we made Kinetic Performance Dog Food. Each Kinetic formula is made with 3 animal proteins and no fillers like corn, wheat, or soy. This lets you feed less and still get more energy, faster recovery, and better weight maintenance. If health and performance matter to you, give Kinetic a try. We build it for our dogs, but you'll love it for yours.
When it comes to elite canine and handler training, the best of the best turn to one place, Von Lick Kennels. Von Lick is the premier full-service canine training center and detection service provider in the world. Their world-renowned training methods and experienced training staff produce the best canine and handler training available anywhere. When only the best will do, join over 5,000 law enforcement, government, and civilian agencies who count on Von Lick Kennels.
Are you tired of the same old toolbox that doesn't keep your gear organized, clean, or protected? Then you need a cam locker. Our exclusively designed aluminum toolboxes have hefty T-handles, insulated lids, and feature the cam locker system, the toughest aluminum toolbox lock. Proudly manufactured in the USA, Cam Locker will be the best and last toolbox you will ever own. So keep your tools and gear secure with a Cam Locker toolbox, the key to security.
So the art of wild bird hunting is, for the longest time, has just been thought of as a non-existent. I talk to people all the time that when I tell them I hunt wild quail on public land, they're like, what? The idea is that only quail hunting is on a preserve, on what they call a put and take. And when I tell people I hunt wild quail and all of it is on public management area, they're like, there's not any quail on these places. I was like, well, I make a very good hobby and do very well in the woods, hunting wild quail this way. I think there's a way to be successful in doing it, and it's not just putting a dog down in a block of woods and running that block, because the birds aren't that plentiful. There's not 4 or 5 coveys in a 100-acre or 200-acre block. There may be 1 covey in 400-acre block, and so there's a process of going in and locating those birds before you ever put a dog on the ground, and that's the first hunt. I call it the pre-hunt, but it's just as exciting as the dog hunt. But going out and whistling those birds, crafting my whistle with my mouth and with my metal call to make that bird think that I'm a quail to answer. Quail are a vocal community bird, and they have a series of whistles that they do to communicate with each other inside the covey. They have whistles that they do to communicate from covey to covey, and they have whistles that they do to communicate for birds that maybe have gotten separated out through feeding to get back to the covey. Or say a predator would bust that covey and they're not together. They have calls that they make to covey back up so they can get into their family group. So they have a lot of communicating that they do, and it's because of that wanting to communicate with each other allows me to somewhat trick them. I mean, that's really all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to trick in any bird hunting that you do, turkeys, ducks, all you're doing is tricking the bird to think you're one of them. And by doing that, you get them to kind of tell on themselves, and that's kind of the game, I guess you could say, that we're playing, is I'm trying to say, hey, I'm a covey, are you a covey? Or I'm a quail and I'm lost and I need to get home to my covey group. And the better you are at trying to trick them with those calls, is the only reason why we're successful in the woods. The woods look all uniform. It's all the same. The woods look pretty much the same from block to block to block, from one side of the road to the next side of the road. And if I put a dog down and hunt for an hour on this side, and I've done this before, you go in there, find nothing. And so you fail a lot without having that ability to locate birds with the whistle, and then they respond, gives you a direction, an indication that that's where they're at. And as we found this weekend, it's not always successful. Birds will whistle right there in the bush. Seems like they're right there. You go in there and they're gone. I mean, they've either flew away or they flew off the roost, or so it's not a given. That's when the dogs really come into play of locating those birds that they fed off, or which direction did they go. It's hard to tell after you've whistled them, say 2 hours ago, and you go back in there, but they were in this area. And it really increases our ability to be successful with the dogs finding quail, is the ability to whistle them and to locate them in the woods. I have 4 English pointers. One is a puppy, so I'm hunting 3 English pointers right now. So you have to have a targeted approach to finding these birds in the wild. If I just put a dog down in the block, I could burn that dog up, especially in Florida heat. Sometimes I'm hunting at 80-degree weather, 85-degree weather. That dog can be spent in less than an hour. And you're only gonna cover small portions of this with dog power and foot power. We walk hunt. So you're not gonna be able to cover 50,000 acres. So to be pointed, to have that ability to locate these birds first, it's the key to being successful at wild bird hunting. If you're not able to locate them, you're not gonna find that many birds. And I get the answers from guys with dogs in the woods that I've ran into. There's no birds in here. We're not finding any birds. And they look at me, and how many coveys did you find? Well, we found 3 coveys today. We haven't heard a bird or seen a bird in a week. So there are birds in these areas where you're hunting. You just got to be able to locate and find them. And that is the key to unlocking this wild bird puzzle for you, is that they're there. They're just not everywhere. And you've got to really dial down and get, kind of micromanage your quail hunting to specific points with a whistle.
Feel like the season just got started? Well, there's no reason to stop hunting now. At Highland Hunting, you can enjoy a great upland experience through the end of March. Located in southeast Iowa, we have over 1,200 acres of diverse upland habitat with the best flying and wildest birds you'll find at any upland outfitter. Our incredible staff and great accommodations let us show you a true Iowa upland experience at Highland Hunting. Give us a call and schedule your next adventure today.
This winter, enjoy more of Ocean City for a little less. Enjoy seaside escapes and coastal cuisine. Enjoy small crowds and big fun. Enjoy rising with the tide and leave all worries behind. Find your reason to smile all winter long in Ocean City, Maryland.
No matter what you feed, sometimes your dog needs a little help to keep them at the top of their game. For some dogs, it can even mean the chance to just live a normal, healthy life. Our Kinetic supplements are formulated to meet specific needs to get and keep your dog at optimal health and performance. Your dog will love them, and you'll be amazed at the difference they make. If your dog needs an extra boost, give Kinetic a try. We build it for our dogs, and you'll love it for yours.
So the quail in itself is a community bird. It's designed to be in what's called a covey. That is how they live. So this can be replicated in Georgia, Alabama, Texas, anywhere that there's bobwhite quail. This approach of hunting them you can find success. The key is finding, habitat that will have enough birds, that will hold birds. So if you can find continuous habitat, there's probably birds there. You just got to learn how to call for them and find them. So it's a series of calls that I do with my mouth, and then I have a metal whistle as well that emulates these birds whistling it. And I go through a series that's sort of a cadence that I've kind of learned and I've heard my dad do. And in a day's time, we may whistle 400 times or 500 times in a day, riding the roads and trying to get those birds to whistle. And that's why that's so much of an excitement of the first part of the hunt. But in the morning, those birds want to give a covey call. And so they're saying, hey, I'm over here. And then the other covey will whistle, say, hey, this is our range, we're over here. And they kind of just locating back to each other, say, don't kind of mingle in there in their home ranges. So in the morning, right at daylight, you go out and you emulate that covey call, that hey, where are you? Hey, where are you? And then you get them to answer back and they say, hey, I'm over here. Usually from daylight to about an hour after, every minute after daylight, it gets harder and harder to get them to emulate that whistle. But that's the best time to whistle quail. The next best time to whistle is probably around 11 to 12:30. We call it nooning. The birds will be nooned up. They fed all morning long. They probably need to go find a place to put some gravel in their crawl. And then again, like a turkey would do, you can roost that bird. You can go out 30 minutes before dark and you can find where that bird is going to roost where he'll be that next morning. But you whistle way more times. You know, don't get discouraged when you don't hear them right away, because literally I probably whistle 500 times at least a day, you know, driving the roads and just trying to locate these birds. Any bird dog trainer will tell you the number one way to make a bird dog, and I don't care what it is you're hunting, is birds. If you don't have birds, you're never gonna make a bird dog, right? So if I'm putting dogs down in these unproductive places over and over and over again, and we go on hour walks, at some point the dog's gonna look over his shoulder and be like, hey, what are we doing? What is my purpose? You know, they would get discouraged. They would start pointing anything in the woods, stink birds or rats or whatever. You know, they don't understand their purpose. So the best way to make bird dogs is with birds. And for me to whistle those birds, that ups the opportunity for my dogs to find that success. You know, we go out a lot and don't find birds. Like I said, I don't put them on the ground unless I whistle them, but just because I whistle them doesn't mean I find them. Bad sitting conditions, the birds aren't moving, they got up and flew away. But I know within a day's time of hunting, my dogs are gonna have the opportunity to smell birds, point birds, and if the shooter's doing his job, maybe retrieve a bird. But good dog work, dogs holding birds, allow you to walk up to them from a good distance. It may take me 3 to 4 or 5 minutes to get there walking. They should be able to hold that covey there and not bust that bird. And having good dogs is a big part of finding that overall success, which is harvesting quail. But it's not the key factor in what I'm doing. It used to be until I got dogs, but watching those dogs crack that tail across the woods and then get birdie and then snap around and point, man, that's priceless. The passion of this whole thing, and I said this earlier, but the idea of quail hunting, to walk up quail with your feet, is not gonna be successful and it's not gonna be very rewarding. But when you put a dog down, your dog down, and the time that you've invested in that dog, and you watch him be successful, I mean, it is a little prideful. I mean, I do get excited. You know, me and my dad hunt together all the time. And it's not like it's competitive, we're not overly competitive, but hey, your dog just got a nice point. You know, instead of me saying, him telling me, yeah, your dog looked good on point. You know, you want to see your dog to be successful, but that's the joy of quail hunting, is the dog. You know, I'm with these dogs way more than I'm hunting them. You know, hunting season is November to February, the end of February for here in Florida. And I'm with these dogs the other 7 or 8 months of the year, right? So I gotta love them and, you know, take care of them, you know, and feed them, and, you know, all the things that go along with it. You know, it's a commitment, but it's worth it to watch that performance that laid out in the woods, and when it all comes together, man, it's a beautiful thing to see.
For your active dog, not just any dog food will do. It takes special care and nutrition to support their energy to work and play. That's why we made Kinetic Performance Dog Food. Each Kinetic formula is made with 3 animal proteins and no fillers like corn, wheat, or soy. This lets you feed less and still get more energy, faster recovery, and better weight maintenance. If health and performance matter to you, give Kinetic a try. We build it for our dogs, but you'll love it for yours.
Your grandmother's fine china, those trendy sneakers, your collection of hand-carved duck decoys. Auto Owners protects your home. Because, well, somebody should. That's simple human sense.
Ask Safari Insurance in Cincinnati if auto owners make sense for you.
Oh, now you do your job.
I need you to get me out of the country, out of here, away. All in exchange for a sip of coffee? Yeah, it's Black Rifle Coffee. Let's try some.
Later, loser!
Why don't you head over to blackriflecoffee.com and get yourself set up with a coffee club subscription.
I got the best bird dogs in the world. Now I have 3 seasoned English pointers. I got Chubby, who last year was the SBHA Gun Dog of the Year. And then I've got Sadie and Maddie. Maddie's a 3-year-old, and she's just pretty. You know, that part of the hunt is watching a dog way more than you see birds, you know, way more than shooting, you watch a dog. And to watch that dog crack that tail and bounce around the woods, energetic, loving getting out of the box. And then I got Lainey, my new dog. She's only 4 months old. So you start them up as puppies and you just help them be the best version of what they're intended to be. Yeah, so the English Pointer is very athletic, and there's a lot of dogs that are very athletic. I mean, with our dog food company, we see a lot of dogs that do amazing things. But when you put an English Pointer on the ground and he runs for an hour, just to put this in perspective, I will walk in an hour through the woods 1 to 1.2 to 1.3 miles. When you look at the GPS tracking, the dog's done 7 miles or 8 miles. And when you put that in perspective, the ability to do that is, they got to be a tremendous athlete to do that. And then they don't do it 1 time, they do it 2 times. And then if I whistle another covey, they may get out 3 times. So those hunts may not all last an hour, but there's hunts where these dogs in 1 day can do 20 or 30 miles of foot on the ground work. And then get out and do it again the next day. And then the next day, it's amazing watching them get out of the truck every single day and to be able to, and want to, but have the ability to do it. And that's just a supreme athlete that can do that. So my English Pointers are extreme athletes. Like I said, the best athletes in the world, right? And to maintain that ability to perform, you have to feed them like an athlete. Nutrition is such a big part of for the ability for these dogs to go the next day, to go the next day, to go the next day. Keeps their joints loose from being sore. The recovery rate has to be able to, that dog has to be able to recover and get ready to go the next day. And nutrition is the baseline for all of that. If that dog is not healthy from the inside out, he's not going to perform the way he needs to perform. Putting a premium product into the dog that he can absorb and grab all the nutrients from that source. Kinetic Performance Dog Food has a great product that does everything that it needs to do to build a well-rounded athlete. Very digestible, highly digestible, high in meat-based protein. The dogs absorb it, they love to eat it, and it holds them up over hunt, over hunt, over hunt, over hunt. We're asking these dogs to be professional athletes, and we need to feed them like professional athletes. And Kinetic Performance Dog Food feeds these dogs like professional athletes. The Kinetic Dog Food Company is not just dog food. It really embodies owning dogs, loving dogs, working dogs, being around the handlers and the people that handle and work dogs. We invest in a lot of different dog disciplines because we have to be about the dog. If we're making a dog food that's not about the dog, then what would we be doing? I work at quail hunting. I spend hours in the woods doing it. I spend hours with these dogs every day. The maintenance of these dogs is every day. It is a lifestyle for me, and Kinetic allows me to bring that lifestyle into my job. And you go to a guy that's having all kinds of problems, and you eliminate those problems with feed because of nutrition, and you see his life literally change, the handler's life. I'm not at the vet once a month. I'm not having all these problems in my house or with shedding or whatever. And you change that, you change his life, you've obviously changed the dog's life, and that's kind of what Kinetic allows me to do, is change dog handlers and dog owners' lives with a great product.
You know, there's no doubt that quail populations across the United States are nowhere near what they used to be, but as we've seen, there are ways to go out and find wild birds and put your dogs on wild coveys and show them some success. And hopefully more hunters out in the woods means more resources going towards managing and preserving quail habitat for generations to come. So I'd encourage you, go out and practice your covey whistle. See if you can't locate a covey or two wherever it is you live or hunt. Go out and give it a shot, and we'll see you next time on Unleashed.